Hey guys, I'm MeeMee and I do Allsorts. As you can see, I have a Scrawlrbox and this one should be Octobers. I'm sorry, I'm getting all my months mixed up. So if you don't know what Scrawlrbox is, Scrawlrbox is an ad subscription box series. Not sponsored, not affiliated, but I do love getting the boxes. Also as well, I like to point out that I did receive an email from Scrawlrbox saying that there was something wrong with the paper this month. Well, I say wrong, there was an error. Then some of the pans may have been like glued upside down, but we should be able to know which side is which when we use the supplies. So, and in October's box we get, ooh, so first off we got our supplies, which we'll have a look at in a minute, and wow, oh, that is so cool. I'm getting a very Zentangle and for some strange reason dragon vibes from this. I think it's the colours, so I'm really intrigued. So anyway, this is our scrolling zine and it is October's box. And inside you learn more about the featured artists, hints and tips and more about Scrawlrbox. Ooh. Oh wow, I absolutely love this and I'm totally vibing with it. It is very Zentangle and random and I love the fact that there's like some kind of like Japanese like elements to it, like the mask. Oh, I am really loving this and I love the colours too. And our featured artist is Alexandra Olivia and there's her info if you would like to go see more of her work. So our mystery email paper is actually marker paper. So it's an A5 sheet, it clearly says marker paper, we get 10 sheets, it's 75 GSM and it's acid free. So at least we'll now know which side is which, because if you used marker paper before then you'll know which side is the best side. And at the moment I think we might be okay. It's a bit smoother on top than it is underneath. So since that we've got marker paper, I'm assuming we are going to get some markers. So in this one's box we get, don't tell me we get one and think we get, yes! I don't believe this. We actually get Copic Sketches. I am so loving this. And these ones are actually more expensive than the Copic Chows, which are actually cheaper. I do actually own quite a lot of Copic Chows and only one Copic Sketch which a friend gave to me. So I am absolutely ecstatic that I get some more and they look to be in such beautiful colours as well. So we get canary yellow, aqua and strong red, which I am totally vibing with because I love red. These markings come with a chisel tip and a brush nib, which for me are the best, and you can tell which end is which because the brush tip always has like the grey band around it. And then of course we've got our destruction list and our scroll sticker which matches our featured artist work, and that is so cool. Right now with the rest of our supplies we have a pencil. It is in triangular shape with all of these little bobbly bits on, so it's got a better grip. It's by Faber-Castell and it does actually say it's in grip 2001. Right up next is another good staple, which is the Uni Pin Fine Liner. Now these pens are actually amazing and one of the best pens that I've actually tried, and this is a 0.3 and that's what the tip looks like, and it's water and fade proof and it's pigment ink. And last but not least we get a kneadable eraser and it's by Faber-Castell. Now I won't be using this one because I've already got a kneadable eraser in use and I don't necessarily want to open a fresh one if I've already got a really good one, so we'll just pretend that I am using this one. So, and our sweet for this month looks to be a rhubarb and custard tabard sweet. Alright, so that's everything that we got in the box. Now, as you can tell, I am super stoked about this. I'm not really much of a marker user, but again, I am super stoked that we can get Copic Sketches. So I am actually quite familiar with these, and by the way, these are alcoholic markers, and so they will be blending beautifully and depending on the type of paper, which we will be testing out in a minute. So I'm going to tidy up and I will see you in a minute. So I've got a piece of the marker paper here. This one does have a bit of a mark on it, so maybe it's just as well as the first one. Alright, so the first stump, I'm going to test out the pencil. Yep, that works like a pencil, so it must be pencil. I know it's like really stupid testing out a pencil on the paper, but you know, it's just one of those things. You have to test out everything, even if it's in like the 10,000th HB pencil then you've already got in your collection. Next up is the Uni Pin Fine Liner. I still absolutely love these pens, and good thing is they don't bleed. Alright, and now for the creme de la creme, star of the show and the Copic markers. Alright, and they're in Grower colours. Now I have to admit I absolutely love them, and I have to say I absolutely love this aqua colour and especially this red. This actually shown up really bright on my camera, but this is actually my ideal red. I love it so much. And so next up I'm going to try a bit of a gradient. Since these pens are actually meant to blend really well, and it looks like they are. And this is the downside of having markers. Get off really quickly and the tip is back to normal, which you can't see. Okay, so it hasn't exactly blended out properly, and I still have no idea if this is the right side or the wrong side, but I'm going to see how bleed-proof this paper is, and I'm going to test the pens on the other side to see if the performance is any better, because, you know, I can send... I don't know which side is which because of an error in manufacturing. So this is how bleed-proof it is. It has really ghosted through. And I got another sheet underneath, so nothing is transferring through. So I actually do think that is bleed-proof paper. And so now I'm going to try it on this side. Oh. Okay, that is so different. It's squeaking. Okay, and so after doing that test, I think it's safe to say that this is actually in the wrong side because the colours have dulled down so much as opposed to that side, if you can see. I think my pad is okay, which is great. And then of course I've got my kneaded eraser. Like I said, this is not the one that came in the Scrawlrbox because this is the one that I normally use. And that does actually lift up the pencil really nicely, just lightens it up a little bit. And honestly guys, I absolutely love using kneaded erasers, so as much as I would love to jump straight into a drawing, I need to know what the prompt is. And the prompt for this month is out of the lamp. Ooh, that's interesting. So we've got a bit of like a genie theme going on. Oh, now there's an awful lot to think about here. I have no idea what I want to do, and I have no idea how I'm going to do with these colours. Okay, so I'm going to have a think about that, and I will see you all in a minute. Poof, just think then we've time travelled 4 months into the future. It is no longer in 2021, and I'm really sorry for the really long hiatus on this, and in the middle of filming this particular Scrawlrbox as well. So now I'm recording again, and I cannot wait to get on with wanting to finish this, you know, for the past 4 months. And one last thing, I do actually have a brand new camera as well. It's a vlog camera. It's got a dead rat on top of the mic, so I have no idea what the audio is going to be like. Also as well, this camera also has one of those movable viewfinders, so I can actually see what it is I'm doing instead of breaking my neck craning around trying to see if I'm in frame or not. I'm still not in frame, and I can see from it then the camera is not focusing properly. Anyway, that's where I'm at, and now I can finally move on. I did do a bit more experimenting just to see what it was like layering normal and layer on top of each and then, so I've laid the yellow and blue then to make green, obviously, a few times, and it still came out the same. And I had these black boxes here, which I went over with each colour to see if there was any bleedage. Not, because this is Uni Pin and Uni Pin are good. And now brings me on to what I'm going to be doing. So this is what I came up with. I did decide to do it on 2 pieces of paper, and so I can get like a different effect with the markers. Because for me, using the brush tips on these make like perfect leaves or feather textures, so I really wanted to utilise that. So I came up with this concept. So I really wanted to take the wishes, utilise them in my design. So first off, I went with something that I liked, which is drinking tea. So I've gone to a teapot here, and I also love owls as well, particularly in Great Horn. And then the wish aspect of it, I actually have 3 wishes in here, which you probably can't tell, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the video to find out what they actually are. Right, so that was like the first concept, but with marker drawings, you do have to draw into a rough sketch and then transfer them onto a new piece of paper, you know, so it's nice and crisp and it just looks a lot nicer. So from the last one to this one, the owl is a little bit different because I wanted to make it as a great horned owl and a bit more semi-realistic than the cartoon one that I had, and I wanted it facing a different direction, so I had all of the space to utilise. So at the end of it, what I want to do is like connect the corners here. What I want to do is just have like steam coming out of the kettle and just merging into the owl's tail. Without further ado, let's get on with it. As you can see, I'm just shading in these bits now. Nothing too interesting, but at least I'll give them the much needed depth. And I do kind of wish that this pencil was a little bit bigger. And that's the whole beauty of this, is that it's a challenge and you only use what you're given. And so far I am loving the process. Right, now I'm just going to go in with the kneading eraser and just lighten up some of these harsh edges. Just wish that I could go a little bit darker with this pencil, but I don't want to press down too hard because this paper is like really thin. and for a bit of extra pizzazz and to really bring it forward, and I think I'm just going to roughly outline it. I think I'm going to leave that spout till last, so I know exactly where I'm going to have like the smoke. And just think that the battery died, so you guys missed, to me would have been the most perfecto moment of a victory. It may not seem like much, but to someone who is very shaky-handed, this was actually a great battle one for me, because for the most part, at least 90%, I was able to do smooth lines. I was able to keep to the original lines that were there. So now we're going to the fun stuff, and so here, if you can see, I am now moving on to the owl, and I'm not looking forward to this because I do not have a plan going in, and just like everything else, I'm gonna wing it. And that was not actually meant to be a joke, but I like it. So like the great thing about these markers is that with the brush tip you can actually get some nice feathery details, so that's what I'm going for. Now this is where the magic is going to happen. Well, at least I hope it is. So now I'm going to start layering the colours. I'm sure I've done this wrong, but you know, you live and learn. Like I said, I'm not a marker artist. And what I'm doing here is scribbling some red on my sample sheet. I'm picking it up with the yellow, so you can see that the tip is like quite orange. But don't worry, you know, for the scribble quite a bit, it will come off. And it'll just be stained a bit, but it'll still come out yellow. I have actually seen a marker artist called Jordan Persegatti, who is a really good horror artist. And he does actually use Copics, and I've seen him like pick up, you know, a line to shades of a darker shades, and you know, doing that way when it's like another blending technique, which I thought was like really cool. But you know, I'm still learning these things, and I suppose that this is just another way if you want something a bit more subtle. Yeah, I think I've done this a bit wrong because I wanted like some form of gradient of sorts, you know, like doing purple on top and then a red layer and then a blue layer, but this is what I've got, and now I just have to live with it. Maybe I can still use this to my advantage, because I did want to put like a little bit more colour into it, but there you go. You live and learn. Okay, so now is the bit that I'm not looking forward to, because now I have to make all of the swirls. Now this one is going to be extremely yellow, which doesn't bode well with an owl up there. And I'm thinking now I need to put a bit of green in the body just to blend in with what I'm going to do here, because this is actually going to be more yellow and green. And now I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go for it. The thing I actually quite like about these markers, which I'm just discovering now, is that you can make nice big swooping motions. I'm never usually this expressive theme, then I'm more of like a tightly knit person where everything has to be perfect. I am actually quite enjoying this, especially with medium that will let me do nice big broad and expressive lines like this. Well, this is definitely working a lot better than my original idea, which was like this explosive mess where it's just gonna be like this like splat of smoke. At least this one's more expressive. But my original plan was to still have all of these swirls but to have them like green. And hopefully gradient it out, if that's even a word. Well, considering that I had no idea which direction I wanted to go with this, I'm actually quite pleased with how it turned out. I got some like sort of like gradients going on, it's flowing out into the bird. Not exactly interacting much with them because I don't want to lose one I've already got. At the moment it is the hot mess. Alright, so I'm quite happy with that. Just went into incorporating the green into the owl, which I don't think it actually matches, but it's done. I can't go back. So what I'm going to do, because I've got ink all over me, I'm going to let this dry and then onto the final details and just looking at my viewfinder, which is so nice that I can now actually see it. It is very, very dark at the moment because it is raining outside, so it's just as well I'm stopping. But I'll tell you one though, this is the most fun I've had so far with the Copic markers, well, with any markers, especially in doing this as well, because I've never been this expressive with them. It's been more like tightly packed. Like I said, I'm going to let this dry, and hopefully next time the weather will improve and I will check in on you in a minute. And I have actually managed to be able to make the camera zoom in a lot closer. What I'm trying to do here is make like these feathers a little bit stylized, you know, just following the brush strokes that I made. Alright, and this is what it looks like. I know it's like really simple and something that I normally wouldn't do, but honestly I absolutely love it. So the simplistic style and the abstractness really does tie together, and I really do love it. And I also love like the composition of it, where you even have like two different pieces of paper and being connected to the smoke. So for me personally, I think that was actually a really good style choice. And like I said, working with these markers in a very abstract way, for me, is like the best way to go about it. Makes great for like fur and feather texture, and makes great for like big swooping motions. For someone like me, I can't get them fine details in like some of the other more professional marker artists do, but then it's just down to me, my inexperience. But you know, I can say great feature found in the Copic Sketches and even the Copic Challenge, you can buy refills from them. which compensates for the price that you actually spend on one marker. When some of the other brands like Ohuhu, you know, if you run out of one marker, you have, then there's nothing that you can really do about it. You know, you can't just go out and buy a new one or even refills, because as far as I'm aware, you can't exactly do that at the moment. So it's just like a bit of food for thought. So as promised at the beginning, I was going to tell you about these 3 wishes. They're not wishes per se, they're more like 2 of them are references, 1 of them was an experience. I'll get more into it, but for now the 2 references are actually in this teapot, and unless you're a British 90s kid then you won't know what I'm on about, but there were actually 2 kid shows in the 90s. One of them was a cartoon and it was called Bimble's Bucket. It's about this rabbit who finds this magic bucket with the little creature inside, and you know, obviously makes wishes come true, boom. And of course you've got the bad guy who wants to steal the bucket from themselves, and you know when that's gone. So the references to that is actually these green bits, which I tried to make look like rabbit ears, and these red circles. I just really needed something else to fill in the space and incorporate the red a bit more. But now I'm just realising that they could represent the buckets as well. But I really did like that show. And the show is relating to the top piece here, which looks like the portrait of the Queen, which brings me on to the Queen's nose. Now, from what I remember as a kid, I really enjoyed this show. I know clearly I've done my research with this, but you know, relating to wishes, and the experience is actually relating to this stick. And what it is then, back in 2017 I went to Japan and I went on this guided tours, so I was with 4 people. We had a tour guide who took us in different parts, so we started off in Kyoto, then we went to Hiroshima and then Tokyo and other places in between. And the one place that we went to was right up a mountain called Mount Koyasan. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but this is, and honestly that was an experience. First of all, I got to sleep on a futon. Secondly, we were actually staying in a Buddhist temple because we were up there for 2 nights, I believe it was. Our tour guide then you know, I think it was about 5 or 6 in the morning, the Buddhist temple did like a meditation session, and so you know we were all like, oh yeah, we'll do it, and you know we're here for the experience, so that's what we did. I got up at 4 o'clock and whatever, went down, met everyone, and so there was 2 parts to this, and so the first one we went to a different parts of the temple where I think it was like a sermon of some sorts. I don't know, because the priest was talking in Japanese, and unfortunately I don't know a lick of Japanese. But for me it was the experience of it. You know, I've never done anything like this before, and honestly I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you know, just listening and looking at this amazing display behind him. So that went on for quite a while. And then after that part was done, we were then taken to another part where it was like a different ceremony, and the priest was building up in this fire, and as he was doing that, someone else came around and gave us each these like popsicle sticks and a Sharpie, and obviously our tour guide had to translate in for us, and what we had to do was we had to write down our age and add 1 to it. because the Buddhists believe that when we are born we are 1 year old. This was what I was told. So that's what the 29 symbolises, because at the time when I went I was 28. So that's what the 29 is. And then on the rest of the stick we had to write down a wish. I can't remember what I wrote down, not that I would tell you anyway. So after we wrote all of that down, our tour guide came round and told us, you know, because around this bowl that the structure was in, there was like a velvet rope, and he said then you take your stick and you put it under the rope and then, you know, toss it into the fire. So then the priest lit the fire, you know, and one by one we went, they tossed the stick in. I'm crapping myself, you know, obviously never done this before. So I went up, stick under the rope, tossed it in. It was, honestly, it was very, very awkward. And then I sat down, and as I sat down I noticed that my stick was actually sticking out. So I didn't want any crazy person in the 21st century would do. And I whipped out my phone and I took the most amazing picture of my stick that was perfectly poking out of the fire, and all you could see was the number 29. Honestly, I felt so bad doing that, but also at the same time it was like a perfectly caught moment. Alright, and so that's that. So even though then all of this wasn't exactly entitled to wishes and I personally have, and just more of, you know, like nostalgia and an experience I had, you know, I still had a lot of fun doing it, and it's like something totally different. You know, there was actually a story to go with it, which is what I like, but I never really put into my artwork and just draw the picture and that's it. But I really do love this, and the composition and the story behind it. So anyway, I know that this is like an extremely long video, especially after that story, so I'm going to wrap up. So if you guys would like to have your own scrolling box, I will leave a link in the description box below. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.